Coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline, bracing for retaliation from Iran after deadly strikes on a Hamas and a Hezbollah leader, and coping with unthinkable loss, the Druze community of Majdal Shams in mourning for its children. Plus, keeping the dream alive for freedom to one day return to Iran. An exclusive interview with Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. All this and more coming up on this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Hello and welcome to this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. I'm Chris Mitchell. Days after the elimination of top leaders in Hamas and Hezbollah, Israel is bracing for an expected retaliation. Yet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is warning that those who attack Israel will pay a steep price. Here's our report. On Wednesday, the funeral procession of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh made its way through the streets of Tehran. While Israel has not claimed responsibility for his death, the New York Times reports Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei has ordered a direct strike on Israel in retaliation for the attack on Iranian soil. A senior Hamas leader said Haniyeh's death affects ongoing negotiations between the terror group and the Jewish state.
There is no point in talking about ceasefire negotiations amid bloodshed and assassinations.
The IDF also confirmed the death of Mohammed Deif, Hamas's #2 leader in Gaza, on July 13th. In an address to the nation Wednesday night, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel is prepared for any retaliation.
There are challenging days ahead of us. Since the attack in Beirut, threats have been heard from all sides. We are prepared for any scenario and will stand united and determined against any threat. Israel will exact a heavy price from any aggression against us on any front.
He emphasized Iran is the power behind all the threats.
Since the beginning of the war, I have conveyed that we are in a struggle against Iran's axis of evil. This is a war of existence against a stranglehold of terrorist armies and missiles that Iran wants to tighten around our necks.
U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin said America will stand by Israel in the event of an attack.
If Israel is attacked, we certainly will help defend Israel. You saw us do that in April. You can expect to see us do that again.
Middle East expert Avi Melamed expects a calculated retaliation by Iran.
I don't think that the Iranians are going to retaliate in the same way they did in April, but they will definitely look for some sort of like shocking sort of speaking response that will be on the one hand powerful and send a message, but on the other hand will be very careful not to result in a dynamic that will actually result in an all-out war.
Melamed adds Israel is sending a message with these twin strikes.
You could read the Israeli message to Iran as one that says we are willing, able, and ready to be engaged in a whole-out war, which is not something that I think the Iranian regime actually is interested in at this conjunction, at this time.
These latest crises come as Israel marks the 300th day since the October 7th attack. On the front page of the Jerusalem Post, it reads in English and Hebrew, "Our hope is not yet lost." In light of Ayatollah Khamenei's order of a direct strike on Israel, citizens, foreign nationals, businesses, and military personnel throughout the Middle East are preparing for the possibility of a regional war. Many expect Iran, along with its regional proxy groups, is preparing an even larger attack than when it launched more than 350 missiles, rockets, drones, and UAVs into Israel on April 13th. The IDF's chief spokesman announced the military is on high alert for the possible attack that may come on multiple fronts all at once.
Both in defense and in attack, IDF forces are deployed in the air, at sea, and on land, and are prepared for any scenario, and especially for the attack plans in the immediate time frame.
With the prospect of an all-out war, on Thursday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with the Home Front Command. Former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Michael Oren, now back in uniform with the Israeli military, tells CBN News Israel is ready.
We are prepared for every possible contingency, every possible scenario, and anybody who strikes us will pay a very, very high price.
How would you describe the state of readiness of the IDF right now?
Very high. Very high. I'm talking to you from the north, from the northern border, and the level of alert here is very high.
Israel is coordinating with an international coalition to face potential attacks. And following a call between Netanyahu and President Biden, the U.S. said it's committed to Israel's security from Iranian threats and announced new U.S. military deployments. Iran's Speaker of Parliament blamed both Israel and the U.S. for the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran and vowed a massive retaliation at the proper time and place.
The uprising Zionist regime should know that it will pay a heavy price for this cowardly night attack within the secure boundaries of the Islamic Republic.
The New York Times reporting that Haniyeh was killed by a bomb planted in his apartment 2 months ago. And Hezbollah is issuing threats as well. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah said Thursday Israel will weep for killing its top commander and warned that the war with Israel has entered a new phase.
The enemy and those behind the enemy must wait for our inevitable reaction. God willing, there is no discussion or controversy about this.
It is time to end the charade that the world is playing when it comes to Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. They're one and the same.
U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham is proposing a resolution that any escalation by Hezbollah against Israel should be viewed as an attack by Iran and says Israel should go on the offense.
It is time to hit the Ayatollah in the pocketbook. His oil refineries are the lifeblood of his regime. Without those refineries, they would not be able to fund terrorism.
Despite the anticipated attacks from multiple enemies, most Israelis are thrilled at the news that Israeli athletes won 2 medals at the Olympic Games in Paris. And many see this as a sign of Israeli resilience in the face of an existential threat. Coming up, a Druze community still in mourning for its children after Hezbollah's deadly missile attack. Israelis are pouring into the northern town of Majdal Shams following the rocket attack that killed 12 children and wounded dozens of others. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl shows us how they're comforting the bereaved in the Druze village.
Black flags flutter around this Druze village of about 12,000 residents. Situated on the Golan Heights near the Lebanese and Syrian borders, residents are mourning.
It's a hard situation for their parents. We all panicked at home here. The entire village went into a panic. It's a difficult situation.
This is the soccer field where the children came to play and have fun on a Saturday afternoon. Instead, they met with the death and destruction that they didn't deserve.
My grandchildren are always on the soccer field, and all the time they want me to come and watch them play soccer. But on this day they were sick and they couldn't go, so we stayed at home. It's too bad for every child that left this world. It's too bad for all our children, Druze, Christian, Jewish, Muslim. It's too bad for all the children.
Naim Abu Jabal's brother had a grandson on the field that day. 9-year-old Rajwan remains hospitalized with shrapnel wounds from head to toe. His grandmother, who lives across the street, tells CBN News that everyone ran to the soccer field to help.
We want them to make peace, to stop the war. It's too bad. Nobody profits. Everyone loses. No one profits from war.
As the warning siren sounded, the children ran for the bomb shelter, but many didn't make it in time. The torn fence and blackened ground are now covered with pictures, trophies, and soccer balls in memory of the precious lives lost.
This is a tragedy, not only for Majdal Shams, it's a tragedy for the state of Israel and all the world.
While Mayor Dolan Abu Saleh's extended family lost 4 children, he feels connected to all those killed and wounded.
We are turning to all the world. We are saying that if our children that we lost, if that can be a message for peace, and here in this very difficult incident, in this desolate incident, this massacre can stop, and everyone will have security, we will accept it. We already want peace and security in the whole area of the north, in all of the state of Israel, in all the world.
In nearby communities, memorials and business closures reflect their solidarity. Thousands of Jewish, Christian, and Muslim Israelis are coming here to show their support. A second memorial in Majdal Shams attests to the close family atmosphere. IDF Lieutenant Colonel Gidon Harari, who is Jewish, lives 20 minutes away and regularly visits the town. He says it's a main hub in the region, whether or not you're Druze.
We have friends here. Actually, the Druze, for us, especially for people like me that we served for 25 years in the IDF, they are brothers in arms, and proud citizens of the State of Israel.
Retired IDF Colonel Hamada Ghanam says, following the attack and despite the danger, the Druze community has no intention of leaving.
Not just the residents on the Golan Heights. The Druze communities didn't leave and won't leave, despite the danger that exists, because it's their culture not to leave their communities.
Abu Saleh says this is a strong, united community, and while they have received help from the government, they will take a long time to heal.
We feel that despite our strength, despite our organization, this is an event that won't end in a month, but it will take a long time for us to recover from this terrible tragedy.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Majdal Shams.
Still ahead, a warning to the West. Straight talk from Iran's Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi. While Iran's leaders have proclaimed jihad against Israel and the West, relations with Iran haven't always been so combative. Many insiders say the Iranian people are hungry for a change. That's the belief of the oldest son of the late Shah of Iran, the 63-year-old Crown Prince. And he told CBN's George Thomas that the current regime is weaker than ever and the country is ripe for a revolution.
Fight for freedom and liberties is a cause that never ends until it's done.
Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi is warning the United States and Western powers to not be fooled by the election of Iran's new president, Masoud Pezeshkian.
We call this the circus of elections in Iran.
At 63, Pahlavi is the regime's most vocal and prominent critic. He calls Pezeshkian a lackey, handpicked by a radical Muslim system bent on keeping Iranians in a constant state of repression and fear.
In all these years, it really didn't matter who was presented because all the shots are finally called by Khamenei, the supreme leader.
During a wide-ranging interview, the eldest son of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the last Shah of Iran, told CBN News that Iranians are clamoring for political change like never before.
The regime's own figures demonstrate that at least 73% of the population want another form of government. And I imagine the number is much higher than that, because if it was an actual open polling, you would probably even have in the 90 percentile range.
In 1979, as heir to the throne, Pahlavi was in the U.S. training to be a fighter pilot when Muslim radical leaders forced his father to relinquish the monarchy, sending the entire family into exile. Pahlavi says the aftermath led to an Islamic-run regime that would devastate his ancestral homeland, where today 60% of the people live below the poverty line.
45 years of clerical rule in the name of religion and the immediate element of persecution and the fact that our country has fallen behind in terms of being on the route towards progress, because Iran by now should have been the South Korea of the Middle East. Instead, it's the North Korea of the region.
Under the mullah's reign, Iran has become a leading state sponsor of terrorism and the root cause of instability in the Middle East and beyond.
It finances Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, the Houthis, all in its proxy wars, and of course, it's all networks of activists that they have that are doing the bidding of the regime in the outside world, even in Western capitals.
45 years after the radical Muslim clerics took over the country, His Royal Highness says that the mullahs of Tehran are weaker than ever before and have lost their legitimacy in the eyes of a majority of Iranians.
When you lose your legitimacy, whether it's religious legitimacy or political legitimacy, then you're simply holding on by sheer repression. When you have a regime that is completely delegitimized, when you have people who no longer believe in this system, even if they did at some point, and they want out, that makes these systems vulnerable.
Case in point, the 2022 nationwide protests that followed the murder of Mahsa Amini, detained by religious police for allegedly not properly wearing her mandatory hijab. Iranian security forces killed more than 500 protesters and imprisoned some 20,000 people. Pahlavi says this clearly shows Iranians are ready to sacrifice for revolution.
Nobody said that freedom comes for free. The price sometimes is extremely high. But are you willing to say that just because it's too expensive, I'm not going to purchase it and put up with what otherwise would be annihilation, demise? We don't have a choice. We have to do it. We have to do it for survival. We have to do it for sanity. We have to do it for humanity. We have to do it for our own interests, no matter what it takes.
Despite Iranian proxy attacks on U.S. troops in the Middle East, acceleration of its nuclear uranium enrichment program, and funding of Hezbollah and other terror groups, Pahlavi cannot understand why the Biden administration continues to keep billions of dollars flowing to the terror regime. He says it's time Western governments stop appeasing the mullahs of Tehran.
And what I have argued for years to foreign governments, particularly Western democracies, has been that your expectation of behavior change from the get-go was a false expectation, because you simply haven't recognized the DNA of this regime that needs to do all of it does in order to survive. It's not interested in the welfare of the Iranian people. It's simply aiming to export an ideology to dominate the whole world.
Pahlavi, who idealizes Martin Luther King Jr. and Mahatma Gandhi for their pursuit of non-violent campaigns for political change, runs the National Council of Iran, whose mission is to replace the current Islamic-led regime with a secular democracy. He wants the world to focus on supporting Iranian people rather than keep coddling the regime's thugs.
Even those who believe that maybe we could try and bring reform from within slowly but surely have given up on this idea. Look, we cannot have a religious dictatorship in the 21st century. We have to go towards a secular democracy. So that's why I think the majority of Iranians find themselves in the same optic, in the same vision.
Knowing the history that you have with your beloved nation, do you ever say, you know what, I think this is too tough a fight. Too many innocent people's lives are being taken, and it's been 45 years. Do you ever despair?
There were moments in time that I wonder if South Africans would have given up, or people in the Eastern Bloc countries would have given up, and even dissidents in the Soviet Union would have given up. I haven't heard once a dissident anywhere in the planet say, you know what, I give up. You can't give up. It's not an option. And I think Iranians, the reason why they haven't given up, the reason why they go to the streets, the reason why they take the risk to be shot in the eye or continue to be murdered by the regime, is because they know that the only way out is for us to succeed. And if they have to sacrifice themselves so that future generations will, have a better life, so be it.
Thank you, sir. George Thomas, CBN News, Washington.
Up next, support for Israel from friends in the Philippines. 1824 says there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. The Philippines is that brother to Israel, and that's been the case for almost 100 years. CBN Asia correspondent Lucille Tulusan reports on how support for Israel is being shown again publicly.
We decree and declare your word in Zechariah chapter 2, verse 5, that you would be the walls of fire surrounding Israel and the Philippines.
Church leaders took turns praying in front of the Israeli embassy in Metro Manila to launch the movement, Israel, You've Got a Friend.
This is the first Filipino public rally to show the Philippine support for Israel and to counter the rising anti-Semitic campaigns and rallies that's happening all over the world.
Friends of Israel, including Filipino church leaders and government officials, also recently showed their support celebrating the country's 76th Independence Day. Israeli ambassador to the Philippines, Ilan Flus, highlighted its resiliency in the face of the ongoing war and the disturbing surge in global anti-Semitism.
Instead of focusing on those atrocities that happened on October 7, we have chosen to highlight a message of resilience, of heroism, and of hope. Our unwavering determination to rebuild and revive our communities.
The ambassador commended the 28,000 Filipino workers in Israel who remained with their employers on October 7th when it was dangerous, as 4 even lost their lives. This also served as a testament of the historic relations between the two countries. In 1937, the Philippines welcomed 1,200 refugees who escaped the Holocaust. And in 1947, the Philippines became the only Asian country to vote for the establishment of Israel as a nation. This mutual bond also continues in the relationship between the Israeli Embassy and Operation Blessing Philippines. Through the years, it has supported various OB humanitarian projects such as medical missions and disaster relief operations. That includes sending a Filipino team to Israel at the height of the war with Hamas to provide care packages, food, and trauma counseling.
We are here for the long term, echoing the promise made by our founder, Dr. Pat Robertson, as he stood on the Mount of Olives, when he said, whatever happens, CBN will stand and be in support of Israel.
Ambassador Flus also made this worldwide appeal.
I call you to support Israel. I call you to express this support over social media, have public activities and public events.
While rally participants may be small in number, they have helped tell Israel's story while also remembering the remaining hostages by releasing 120 balloons to signify hope and prayer for their safe return. Lucille Talusan, CBN News, Manila.
Jonathan Conricus is a senior fellow from the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and he spoke with us recently about what he sees as the major driver for the violent dynamic in the Middle East. Take a look.
There's not a single Israeli enemy within thousands of kilometers or thousands of miles that isn't funded and provided with weapons directly from Iran. If the Iranian regime falls, then the chances of peace and stability in the Middle East, they skyrocket by the power of 100. And as long as the Iranian regime is in power and has the money and weapons to continue to sow violence and instability in the region, then I fear that will be the case. And I hope that the Israeli government will understand the bigger strategic picture here and actually hold the Ayatollahs and the evil Iranian regime accountable for their actions against Israel.
You're there in the United States, Jonathan. What is your message to many of the people that you've been talking to?
Well, my message is one of fight. I mean, to adopt a stance and mentality of fighting back against aggressors and not tolerating violence or bullying or anti-Semitism.
Would you say it's safe to say that this is a battle that America is facing as well as Israel?
Not only America, Mitch. It's a battle of the free world, of democracy, of Judeo-Christian values, of law and order, and the respect for the sanctity of human life, and the respect for others. That is what Israel is facing. Like so many times in its past, Israel is simply at the front lines of Western civilization. We are in friction, constant friction with the enemies of Western civilization. And I think the West can thank Israel for being located exactly where it is and for having the fighting spirit to defend itself and, by extension, Western values.
Well, that's all for this edition of Jerusalem Dateline. Thanks for joining us. Remember to follow us on social media, and you can access CBN content through our CBN News and other CBN apps. And don't forget to sign up for our email blast so you can receive reports of breaking news. And please continue to pray for Israel and the peace of Jerusalem, and for all those caught in harm's way, and for the hostages to return home. I'm Chris Mitchell. We'll see you next time on Jerusalem Dateline.